Hi everybody, it's Margaret. Today I'm going to be talking about menopause. It's something that women don't really want to talk about. It really was never talked about, and if you start looking it up on YouTube or talking about it with people, it's kind of like some kind of disease where they want to medically fix it, or people want to talk about their horror stories, the irritability, the weight gain, the hot flashes, all this drama around it. But I feel I want to have the conversation how it can go with ease and grace, and how there are many golden nuggets in this beautiful phase of your life of freedom, of love, of wisdom, of self-discovery, and it can be a really beautiful transition. 6 months ago, I had my last period. I know in every cell of my body it was my last one. Menopause is not really defined until it's 12 months without having a period or any kind of bleeding. So I'm halfway there, but I'm really ready to have this conversation with you today. How I knew it was my last period is because I went to a retreat in June of 2022, and I had been really cleaning my diet to get ready for this retreat. I talked about it in my last video, and right before I left the retreat, I had my period, which since 2020, it's been on and off. I might have 2 periods in a month. I might go three months without a period. And I just kept keeping track, and I kept trusting the process that this was time of my body was transitioning into a new phase. I had to let go a lot of fear because I had fibroids, and of course my brain wants to go into, I have fibroids are coming back, I have cancer, I'm going to need a hysterectomy. But in my body, I knew that I was just beginning to transition. And so it's been happening for a couple of years. And in June, I had my last period, a period before I went to the retreat, and I thought, okay, I've been cleansing, I've been vegan for a while, getting ready for this retreat. It's just part of the cleansing process. So I had the last day, I was bleeding on the first day of the retreat, and I intended to want to feel freedom inside of my body. My body has been one of my greatest teachers, and I really just wanted to feel this freedom and connection with my body, and I did it. And I talked about it in my last video. I had amazing healings within my body and connections, and now I can see this body as more of like a computerized technique, suit that we have, and it's just so much more than the flesh and blood that runs through it. And so I really had an amazing healing experience, and then my body started to burn with fever, and so I just felt like at ease and peace with my body, and was really ready to start this new relationship with it. So I spent a couple weeks in Mexico, and on my way home I was driving back to Michigan, where I was going to spend the rest of my summer. And as soon as I got over the border of Michigan, I used the restroom and I started my period, and it only had been 3 weeks since I started the last one. And again, my mind wants to go, oh my God, I got cancer and all this bullshit. But what I knew in all of my cells of my body, that this was my last period, and I knew that I needed to stay present, and that I would be doing some kind of service or ceremony with this. So immediately I went home and I took out my yoni pot. I have this old pot that used to sit on the stove where I used to do vaginal steams, create all sorts of things in this pot that was mine. And I pulled it out and I began to save my blood. And every morning and in the evening, I would take my drum out and my pot of blood, and I began to dump it into the ground near this beautiful tree. And I began to sing, and I began to visualize it being transformed into the earth, and moving and just transforming, and I knew that was my life, as I was going from this mother into this crone, and I was transitioning into this new stage of my life. I felt like a little baby. I felt so fragile. I felt so Everything was just so loud and big around me. I didn't want to leave my home. I don't think I left my home for 10 days. I would just get my groceries delivered to me, which I never do. And it just felt right, where I didn't want to be a part of the big world yet. I just really wanted to just be present with my body and with the ceremony that I was creating for myself. I did ceremony for about 3 days. I would meditate out by the tree. I would journal. I would just really just be as present as I could be with what was happening in my body, and just give so much gratitude for my body, so much gratitude for my bleeding, my uterus, my experience as a human on this planet. And I knew that when it was over, it was done. But I had been preparing for this, and when I was going through my fibroid stuff, I knew my naturopath would say, the more balanced you are now, the more balanced you will be through menopause, and you really need to start thinking about how to balance your life more. And at that time, there was a lot of craziness, but I know with meditation and just really moving the shadows out, looking at my ego, cleaning my all the shadow work, the ancestral work that I've done, really cleaning out all of those pieces of me that were not really me, and allowing that room for new things, for balance, for growth, for evolution to come through me. So I feel if we're not doing our work, our 40s, we're in our Uranus return, it's time to look at our shadows in our 40s and to start doing the work of cleaning it up. Cleaning up the ancestral wounds, start cleaning up your fears, your worries, your doubts. I'm not saying I'm perfect, I'm still working on my shit. But allowing this room for balance, and so when you're going through these transitional phases in your life, you have more balance to keep you steady, instead of flailing and having to think that you have a disease when it's really just menopause and a transition from one life phase to the next. So whatever it is to create that balance in your life, start being curious about it and start listening to it, because I feel like there is a opportunity to really be connected to our bodies and to understand our bodies and to listen to our bodies. But if we're so caked up with other stuff that is not ours, like our shadows or ancestral stuff, and all of these negative thought forms and fears and worries, then there's no opportunity to be one with our body, which is an amazing, freaking amazing computer. So it's not always easy. I've done a lot of work. I wanted to prepare for this time in my life. A couple years ago, way before the pandemic, I took a class called, it's from the Red School. It's a menopause program. It's these beautiful ladies from England. They have a podcast. So if you go look up Red School, they have a website. I did take their class. They talk about menopause in 4 stages: betrayal, repair, revelation, and acceptance. And I really wasn't ready for that program yet, because I was still, really regular. But it did give me, start planting seeds about, what was going to be happening. And I think I was in the betrayal stages, where, as a woman, part of just changing and feeling betrayed by the media, betrayed by culture, thinking that I have to be a certain way when I'm older, trying to be looking and acting like I'm 21, because there really isn't those images in the world. So they were talking more of a mental and spiritual transition into menopause, which I thought was fantastic. And I might actually look at that again. So it's betrayal, repair, revelation, and acceptance. And I think I'm in that revelation and acceptance phase. And then after 2020, when most of us were gaining our 10 pounds of eating during the pandemic, I went to the Galveston diet. She is an OB-GYN. Her name is Mary Claire Haber. She works just specifically with menopausal women. She's had a program online for years, and after 2020 it exploded. She went on TikTok for a year and Instagram, and now she's got a couple books which are fantastic. I did her online program, and she works with nutrition. She talks, and she's very research based, so she'll talk about like the estrogens, the hormones, the inflammation markers, just like how when we're going through menopause, everything that's happening to our body, and how to create balance through diet, through exercise. She talks a lot about intermittent fasting, anti-inflammatory foods. It's an amazing program, and you can buy her book and do that on your own. Just the class when I took online, really there was like a lot of support with coaches and with the forums with each other. So there were women that within a week their hot flashes decreased because of the diet, and they felt more at ease and less irritable. I don't have any of those symptoms. I don't. The only thing I really realized 6 months not having a period is I feel a little bit arthritic in my hands and in my hips, and that is the inflammation that I need to work on. I really need to watch my diet. And I feel like even it's not like a menopausal thing, it's an aging thing. It's like we need to decrease the amount of food we eat and start moving. And as a nurse, I would always ask like people who were in their 90s, and I even had a customer that was 102, when you ask like what is the secret to your life, and they'll say don't eat as much and you got to move every day. And so these are just things to help you balance your hormones, balance your life, mentally, your mental state that also is related to hormones. I mean, they're all related to each other. So the one thing I do notice is the arthritis. My muscles are disintegrating a lot quicker, so I have to keep some kind of, I haven't done it yet, but I have to really keep my muscles with weights. Weight training is really important as we age. I don't have any, mood swings or hot flashes, or I don't have any problems with sleep. Again, I feel like but I meditate, I walk, and as the more we keep more of a balanced keel, the less the symptoms are. So the more anxious you are, the more stressed out you are, the shittier your diet is, the more weight gain and imbalances with all of this you're going to have. So I think it can be done with ease and grace. And our children are older, we have more time to take care of our body. I have a partner who could care less if we have dinner or not. So I have the support, because sometimes I just want to eat like during the day and not eat in the evening. And when you think about it, it's like that's when our liver starts to repair itself. So it just seems, intuitively, it just seems normal for me. It might be different for you. But I've always kind of wanted to eat more in the morning or the afternoon instead of the evening, and now I'm really starting to honor that for my body. The bloating and the belly fat, that is a real thing that happens very quickly, and Mary Claire does talk about that. It doesn't have to always be like that, but there is this also beauty of acceptance and just to really rocking it. And I think older women are showing us the way that we can still wear bikinis, and when we're 60 years old, we might not look like we're 19, but we can still really be beautiful and enjoy life, and not be put out in the pasture. Because I think this time of your life is to be of service, and it can really be beautiful. So I'm in this transition. I can see myself as the mother now, looking back on that path, and I'm really loving her up. She's amazing. I see all the courage that I had and the strength I had to break the chains and to do things differently, and I'm really proud of myself. I don't know if proud's an ego thing or not, but I'm really taking ownership of that, and I'm embodying that. It feels very powerful to look back at what I did as a young woman, as a younger mom, all that juggling and all of it. It was just like, wow, I did that, and I don't have to do that now, but wow, I did that, and it's really empowering, and I love myself even more for that. So I feel I'm in a great place, and I am feeling this freedom in my body, and I want to share that it doesn't have to be ugly and scary and all of that. So I think we need to keep telling these stories to ourselves, to each other, that this can be a really great time of our life. It's not a disease, and we're not going to die or be put out to pasture to rot. I love you, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.